A simple night routine to prevent memory loss. Why you must stop skipping this after 60. Welcome back to my channel. Today, let's pause for a moment and talk about something small, yet incredibly powerful. A simple habit before bedtime. It may sound minor, but I've seen far too many older patients overlook this only to wake up feeling foggy, forgetful, and gradually lose the mental sharpness they once took pride in. And to share this powerful habit with us today, we're joined once again by a familiar guest, someone whose presence always brings depth and perspective. He's here to guide us through one evening ritual that may help protect the brain and preserve memory, especially after 60. Let's listen closely. Before sleeping, there is one thing you must not forget. And it's not a pill. It's not a crossword puzzle. It's something far more essential. You see, the brain doesn't shut down when we sleep. Quite the opposite. It gets to work. While the body rests, the brain cleans, sorts, repairs, and resets. It sifts through memories, filters toxins, strengthens connections. But for it to do all that, it needs the right conditions. And here's the truth we don't often hear. If you go to sleep without preparing your brain, you're not just skipping a step, you're starving it. Night after night, that neglect builds up. It doesn't scream at you right away, but it whispers through the morning fog, the misplaced keys, the forgotten names. The good news? You don't need anything fancy. Just a simple signal, a message to your brain that says, you are safe now. It's time to restore. And how you send that message makes all the difference. Think of your brain like a quiet library. At night, it's meant to organize the shelves, file away memories, and repair old books. But the librarian can't do that work without the right tools. Light, calm, and most importantly, energy. If you head to bed on an empty stomach, especially after 60, your brain enters the night with no supplies, no protein, no calming minerals, no signal that it's time to heal. And instead of diving into deep restorative work, it shifts into survival mode. It holds back, it stays on edge, and it skips the kind of memory processing that keeps you sharp. Let me tell you about a patient I once cared for, a retired school principal, age 74. Sharp man, very disciplined, but he came to me complaining of small but frustrating lapses, forgetting names, misplacing items, walking into rooms and losing track of why. He had been skipping dinner entirely, following a Western-style diet plan that suggested no food after 6 p.m. It worked for weight, perhaps, but it left his brain undernourished. I suggested a small change. Not a full meal, but a warm cup of miso broth with tofu before bed. We added a few minutes of stretching, slow breathing, and we wrote down 3 things he was grateful for before turning off the lights. Within 2 weeks, his mornings were clearer, his memory steadier, his focus sharper, and his wife said something I'll never forget. He feels present again. That's the power of nourishing the brain at night. Not just filling the stomach, but feeding the nervous system with rhythm, comfort, and peace. That's not just a snack. It's a message, a signal that says, you are safe now. You can let go. The healing begins. And it's not just food that sends this message. It's the entire environment you create before bed. In many traditional cultures, especially in the East, there's a deep understanding that the way we end the day affects how the brain heals. It's not about strict routines. It's about rhythm, a signal of safety. That means dimming the lights, turning off screens at least 30 minutes before bed, because blue light tells the brain it's still daytime. Instead, you could light a candle, crack open a window for fresh air, or read a gentle, uplifting book. Not the news, not social media, but something that calms the heart and prepares the mind. And then there's breathing. Simple, deep breathing into the belly with each exhale longer than the inhale for just 5 minutes. This activates the parasympathetic nervous system, lowering cortisol, slowing the heart rate, and sending the brain one clear message: it's safe to rest. For some of my patients, I also recommend keeping a small journal near the bed. Before sleep, write down just 3 things you're grateful for. Nothing grand. It could be a warm pair of socks, a quiet morning, or a phone call from a friend. This act alone, simple as it seems, has been shown in studies to improve sleep quality, reduce depression, and even enhance memory. Why? Because gratitude quiets the brain's fear center. It shifts the focus from threat to safety, from what's missing to what's enough. And in that space, between a calm breath and a grateful heart, the brain does its best work. That's not philosophy. That's neuroscience.
Now, let's talk about rhythm, because timing matters just as much as content. Your brain, like every part of your body, follows natural cycles. Cycles of light and dark, cycles of activity and rest, cycles of nourishment and renewal. When these rhythms are respected, the brain feels safe enough to shift into healing mode. But when we eat at odd hours, stay stimulated by screens late into the night, or skip the cues that signal bedtime, the brain stays alert. It doesn't relax. It doesn't rebuild. It simply survives the night. That's why a gentle rhythm matters. Eating at roughly the same time each evening. Stretching your body, not with exercise, but with soft, mindful movement. Simple things: neck rolls, shoulder circles, a gentle forward bend. Just 5 minutes. And then breathing. Slow, steady, purposeful. This sequence tells the brain the day is done. You can let go. And here's what's fascinating. When you move gently before eating a small, warm, protein-rich snack, your brain absorbs it like a sponge. It's more than digestion, it's preparation. Movement increases blood flow to the brain, calms the nervous system, and clears out the stress signals of the day. So, the order matters. First, movement, then nourishment, then rest. In that order, everything aligns. Your muscles unwind, your heart rate settles, and your brain enters the deep sleep it needs to restore memory, clarity, and mood. But I know some of you may be thinking, what if I can't eat at night? What if food makes my sleep worse? And that's a valid concern. In many cases, it's not the fact that you ate, but what you ate and how you ate it. Heavy, greasy, or cold foods will disrupt your system. But something warm, liquid-based, and easy to digest, that supports it. If your digestion is sensitive, try something fermented, like a spoon of miso or a bit of pickled plum. These help the gut work better. And the gut, as we now know, directly impacts brain chemistry. Because when the gut feels calm, the mind follows. Now let's talk about memory, because that's the worry I hear most from my patients over 60. I can't remember where I put my glasses. I forget names more often than I used to. I walk into a room and wonder why I came in. And slowly, a quiet fear starts to grow. that something irreversible is happening, that the mind is slipping away. But here's what I want you to know. Memory doesn't disappear overnight. It fades from neglect. And much of that neglect happens while we sleep. You see, memory isn't stored in the moment. It's built during sleep. But not just any sleep, deep, stable, restorative sleep. And for that to happen, the brain needs balance. That balance comes from stable blood sugar, low cortisol, your main stress hormone, and the right neurotransmitters like serotonin and GABA, which help you relax and consolidate memory. Now here's the good news. The simple nighttime ritual we've been discussing, light movement, warm nourishment, deep breathing, and gratitude, it does all of that. It keeps blood sugar steady, it soothes the nervous system, and it gives your brain the tools it needs to file, store, and protect your memories. Because your brain isn't fragile, it's just hungry. Hungry for rhythm, for nutrients, for a message of safety. And when you provide that, even at 70, 80, or 90, the mind can stay sharp. I've seen it, I've lived it, and I believe it's possible for you too. Now, what about drinks? That's a common question, and one that can make all the difference. First, let's talk about what to avoid. Cold drinks. They shock the system and disrupt digestion. Sugary beverages. They spike your blood sugar only to crash it hours later. And caffeine and alcohol, even small amounts, can interfere with deep sleep and delay the brain's repair cycle. So what should you sip instead? Something warm, something calming, something your body sees as a signal it's time to rest. Try a cup of chamomile tea. Gently calms the nervous system. A bit of warm barley water, soothing for digestion and hydrating. Or my favorite, golden milk, a warm blend of turmeric, black pepper, and almond milk. Anti-inflammatory, gentle, nourishing. And if you're wondering, where do I start? Let me offer you this simple ritual you can begin tonight. Boil water, stir in a spoon of miso, and add a few slices of soft tofu. Sit somewhere quiet, no screens, just you and your breath. Sip slowly, letting the warmth settle your body. Stretch gently for 5 minutes. Roll your shoulders, let your head drop forward, touch your toes. Then whisper to yourself, I prepare my mind for clarity. Finally, take a pen and write down 3 small things you're grateful for. It doesn't have to be big. Maybe it's warm socks. Maybe it's a kind word from someone you love. Maybe it's just the quiet of this very moment. This small ritual, food, breath, movement, and gratitude, sends the clearest signal your brain could ever ask for. You are safe. The day is over. Let the healing begin. And that's what aging well is really about. Not force, not perfection, but rhythm, consistency, and soft strength. So if you've ever worried that your memory is fading, that your sharpness isn't what it used to be, let me tell you this. It's not age. It's not inevitable. It's often just the brain asking for better care and clearer signals. We don't lose our minds overnight. We lose them slowly when we stop tending to them with intention. But here's the beauty. You can start again, tonight, with a warm bowl of broth, with a deep breath, with a small stretch and a quiet word of gratitude. That's not a routine. That's a message to your brain, to your heart, to your future self. Because when you end the day with care, your mind responds, not with fear, but with clarity, not with confusion, but with strength. Aging doesn't have to mean fading. It can mean deepening, sharpening, becoming more present than ever before. So tonight, when the day winds down, don't just fall asleep. Prepare, nourish, restore. And your mind will remember you just as you remember it.